Are you planning a luxurious stay at Niraamaya Retreats Backwaters and Beyond? Stop and watch this before you book. What you're about to hear might save you thousands of dollars and tons of frustration. I paid thousands of dollars expecting a 5-star wellness retreat, but what I got was filthy rooms, false advertising, and the worst management experience ever. This is my honest review of this so-called luxury resort, the expectation versus reality they don't want you to see. Expectation versus reality. The false luxury, Niraamaya Retreats, presents itself as a luxurious haven, advertising stunning villas, pristine pools, high-end Ayurvedic treatments, and immaculate service. They promise top-tier accommodations and services that would justify their steep prices. However, what I actually experienced was the complete opposite. The furniture in the villa was worn down, the bedding was stained, and the entire property appeared to be poorly maintained. My private pool, which was supposed to be a relaxing feature, was filled with insects and murky water. The wellness treatments, specifically the weight loss program, were ineffective and felt like a joke. The staff, while polite, were poorly trained and struggled to understand even basic requests. The service was inconsistent, slow, and at times completely unresponsive. The breaking point: why I had to escape. Initially, I tried to justify the poor conditions to myself. I kept thinking, it's fine. I didn't come here for perfect service. I came for the wellness treatments. I tried to overlook the issues, telling myself to focus on the Ayurvedic program and ignore the smaller problems. But after a few days, it became clear that I was far from getting any kind of relaxation or wellness benefits. I wasn't sleeping well, eating well, or even relaxing. On my last night, I barely got 2 hours of sleep. The night before that, I stayed locked in my room all day, only stepping out for the treatments and a meal that I could hardly eat because it was overloaded with garlic that I had to force down a few bites just to stop the hunger. At that point, I knew I had two options: either stay and endure the rest of my 21-day stay in misery, or leave and cut my losses. By day 5, I couldn't take it anymore. I packed my bags and left. The car ride back to Kochi turned out to be the most relaxing part of the entire trip, which says a lot about how awful the stay was. The room, an absolute disaster. When I stepped into my expensive so-called luxury villa, I knew I had been scammed. Here's what greeted me. The sheets on the bed were dirty and stained, and even when they were changed, the replacements were of poor quality. The mattress was so stiff that I woke up every morning with aches and pains. The pillows were stained and mismatched, with some even giving off an unpleasant smell. Instead of replacing them, housekeeping would simply flip them over. The bathroom was no better. Water stains covered the surfaces and the towels had a mildew smell. To top it all off, the room had a connecting door to the adjacent villa, which meant I had absolutely no privacy. I could hear everything from the neighboring room, from phone calls to music, making it impossible to relax. Private pool, nightmare. More like a swamp. I was eager to enjoy the private pool villa I had booked, but what I encountered was far from what I had expected. Instead of a relaxing oasis, it turned out to be a mosquito breeding ground. When I arrived, the pool filters were completely off, and it took 3 days of constant requests before they were finally turned on. By then, the pool was filled with dead insects and floating debris, making it unusable. The surrounding furniture was covered in thick spider webs, and bird droppings were left unclean for days. What was meant to be a private pool experience felt more like a health hazard than a luxury feature. Outdoor areas, dirty, unmaintained, and unhygienic. At a luxury resort, you'd naturally expect the outdoor spaces to be pristine, well-kept, and peaceful. However, what I encountered was the exact opposite. The grass was overgrown, and the plants were left untrimmed, giving the entire area a neglected feel. To make matters worse, garbage, tissues, and other trash were scattered across the property, creating an unhygienic environment. The public pool was particularly horrifying. Bugs weren't just floating on the surface. They were actively thriving in the water. It was clear that basic maintenance was completely overlooked. The Ayurvedic program, a total scam. One of the key reasons I chose this resort was for its renowned 21-day Ayurvedic treatment. However, the reality was far from what was promised. Despite submitting my medical details ahead of time, there was no proper medical screening when I arrived. To make matters worse, the doctor in charge left for vacation after just 2 days, leaving me with no guidance or support for the rest of the program. My medication, which was supposed to be an essential part of the treatment, arrived 4 days late. The treatments themselves were repetitive, poorly organized, and completely ineffective. To top it off, I even developed a rash after one of the sessions, adding physical discomfort to an already disappointing experience. What was meant to be a transformative wellness journey turned into an absolute nightmare. Management ignored everything. No accountability, the most infuriating part. When I complained, management did nothing. When I raised issues, the manager said he'd speak to his boss, but I never heard back. I asked for a breakdown of the charges, and they refused to give it to me. When I requested my final bill, they wouldn't even bother to generate one. I eventually left the hotel, and to this day, they haven't responded to any of my concerns. This wasn't just bad service, it felt like they were deliberately avoiding responsibility. Final warning. It wasn't just me who experienced these issues. Every guest I spoke to shared the same sense of disbelief, shocked at how a place charging such high prices could offer such poor service. One particularly alarming issue was the laundry service. Guests would send their clothes to be cleaned, only to have them returned with the same stains and an unpleasant musty odor. It seemed the staff would simply fold the dirty clothes and hand them back without actually washing them. When I later checked reviews on platforms like TripAdvisor and Google, I found that countless other guests had faced the exact same problems.
1/5 a month ago on Google. Please do not visit them. Worst experience ever. Pathetic hotel. Please do not book them instead. Book any other property around. Considering my experience here, even 2 or 3-star hotel will be much better than this one.
Terrible 2-star place advertising itself as a luxury 5-star Ayurvedic resort. Do not recommend to all. Poor service with too high pricing. An incredibly stressful experience. Worst resort ever. The food takes 2 hours to arrive and it's all frozen. Found rat in washroom. Rat out of nowhere in their tissue box.
The issues weren't isolated to my stay. This level of mismanagement and poor service appeared to be the norm at Niraamaya Retreats. Niraamaya Retreats Backwaters and Beyond is not a luxury resort. It's a scam hiding behind 5-star marketing. They take your money and don't care about your experience. If you're considering booking here, don't. If you want a real wellness retreat, look elsewhere. If you care about hygiene, quality, and real service, this is not the place. If you've ever had a bad hotel experience, share your story. Like, share, and comment below to let others know. Help warn others by spreading the word and sharing this video. No one should go through what I did. Have you ever been scammed by a so-called luxury hotel? I want to hear your experience, so drop it in the comments. And as for Niraamaya, you can ignore my emails, but you can't ignore the truth. There are many more, and you can check for yourself.